was in August of 2007. We noticed her gaining weight very rapidly. In August of 2007, Denika was 35 pounds, which is normal for a 2.5-year-old, almost 2.5-year-old. By October of 2007, she was 65 pounds. So she more than doubled her weight in less than 3 months. So we went back and forth to several dietitians, and we did put her on strict diets, but nothing seemed to work. She still steadily gained weight. In April of 2008, Denika was very tired all the time. She could barely talk. She would be standing up talking to you or me, and she would fall asleep. So I took her into the emergency department at the Janeway. She wasn't eating hardly anything, and she was gaining on an average of a week 5 pounds.
We were convinced that it was a problem with the hypothalamus, but we couldn't prove exactly what was happening. Her tests were all completely normal, but the child continued to gain weight. We had asked the Hospital for Sick Children for a second opinion, but just before she went up there, we found that she had a tumor in her chest, which ended up being a ganglioneuroblastoma, a benign tumor. And that got us thinking, well, this could be Rohed-Nesh. And when she went up to Toronto, the diagnosis was agreed with. Rohed-Nesh is a short term for a long list of problems, including rapid onset of obesity. So when her surgery was done, they took out the majority of the tumor. It's a benign tumor, but we need to keep a close eye on it to make sure that it doesn't recur.
So after it was removed, her symptoms still continued. She was diagnosed here at the Janeway. We did go to Sick Kids for follow-up, and she has a respirologist in Sick Kids. Denika has a lot of respiratory issues.
Unfortunately, when you look at the studies, it's a very serious disease, and there's a high risk of respiratory problems and sudden death. So the outcome is poor with this disease. Now that we've recognized it and we've provided her with the ventilation support with the BiPAP at night, hopefully we'll be able to improve her outcome and enhance her quality of life over the next several years. Because the type of tumor that Denika had was in the same class of tumors called neuroblastoma, she fell into the treatment category that we use to treat those children. As I said, it's completely experimental. There were a couple of children that were treated in the United States, and we had contacted St. Jude's Hospital in the States, and they had one child that had received a similar protocol and did well. So we felt that since it's such a rare disease and the outcome of the disease is so terrible, whereas they're at such risk of sudden death and sudden respiratory issues, we felt it was worthwhile to proceed with that treatment. And I'm happy to say she has responded to it.
Denika is an amazing child. She's a very strong child. Denika has been through so much. Denika has spent a lot of her time in hospital. We had like 280 days or something last year between the Janeway and Sick Kids. They're like family to me. They treat me very well, but she was diagnosed at the Janeway, and they were dedicated to finding out what was wrong with her. And we couldn't ask for any better. Just recently, there was a show about Rohed on Mystery Diagnosis. Once that show aired, there was a lady who came forth who had a 24-year-old girl that was diagnosed with Rohed recently. So we do know now there is a 24-year-old. So there is hope, but, again, it's so hard to tell,